Have you ever found yourself, maybe late at night, just questioning the very fabric of your existence?
Uh-huh.
Or wondering if there's maybe some deeper connection, underlying everything we
Oh,
experience?
absolutely. It's that fundamental human itch, isn't it? The search for meaning, for our place in the grand scheme of things.
Exactly. It's that impulse to look beyond the surface.
Yeah,
And that's really what pulls us into today's deep dive.
it is. We're exploring a really fascinating collection of insights today. It's titled Cosmic Consciousness, Truth, Energy, and Connection.
Now, this isn't your typical book, right? It's not a story or a textbook. It feels more like a series of profound musings.
That's a great way to put it. Like philosophical nuggets almost,
Yeah.
scattered along a path inviting you to, well, think bigger.
Yeah, it definitely challenges your assumptions.
And that's the idea. Think of these insights as guideposts. Guideposts on a journey to understand not just the universe out there, but also the universe within us, which we often neglect, I think.
For sure. So our mission today, then, is to really dig into this. We want to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge, the key insights from this source.
Right. We're aiming to give you a kind of shortcut, a way to get well-informed on these deep philosophical themes. Expect some surprising facts, maybe some perspectives that shift how you see things.
Okay, let's get started. Where better to begin than with truth itself? I mean, that's a huge topic.
It is. And the source jumps right in with something pretty bold. It says, eternal truth is written by time itself. We call it history. And then it adds, else everyone have their own iterations of their truth.
Okay, wow. So it's drawing a really sharp line there. It's saying there's this fundamental eternal truth, and that truth is history.
Yeah, history as the objective record, not just dates and names, but the actual unvarnished account of what happened. It's presented as this anchor, an anchor in what can feel like a sea of personal opinions and beliefs.
So our personal truths, our perspectives, our beliefs, they're iterations, but history is the real deal, the external verifiable thing.
That seems to be the core idea, yes. It really challenges us, especially now, with alternative facts and filter bubbles everywhere. How do we even find that bedrock reality, that historical truth, amidst all the noise?
It makes you think, doesn't it? Like we need to be intellectual archaeologists digging through the layers.
Exactly, sifting through interpretations to find what actually, well, happened.
So if truth is external, historical, what does that mean for you, the listener, for how you understand truth? Does it change how you look for knowledge, maybe push you towards discovery instead of just confirming what you already think?
That's the crux of it, isn't it?
Hmm.
If history holds that eternal truth, then seeking knowledge becomes less about, say, inventing new truths and more about uncovering the ones already written by time.
Grounding ourselves in facts, in the record.
Right. But, and this is crucial, the source doesn't just leave it there. It adds a layer of complexity. It says, ideologies change in accordance to the situations around it.
Ah, okay.
And also, man grows and finds way accordingly, but necessarily it's not the same for everyone.
So here's the tension. On one hand, immutable historical truth.
Right. The bedrock.
But on the other, our ideologies, our perspectives, they do change. They evolve based on circumstances. And everyone's journey is different. How do those two things fit together? Are they contradictory?
That's the fascinating part. I don't think the source sees them as contradictory necessarily. It's more like the fundamental truths. The laws of existence, maybe, they're constant, like gravity.
Okay.
But how we understand those truths, how we apply them, the societies we build, the beliefs we form around them, that's what changes. That's the dynamic part.
So history gives us the raw facts, the constants. But our interpretation and application evolve over time?
Precisely. The law of gravity is eternal. But how different cultures build bridges or houses to deal with it, that changes. Our relationship to the truth adapts, even if the truth itself doesn't.
That makes a lot of sense. It's a really helpful way to think about it. Okay, so building on this idea of discovering truth, the source then calls us to explore, but not just outwards.
Right. It talks about exploring both the outer world and, crucially, our inner world. It uses some really vivid imagery here. It describes a coldness in the dark and a warmth in light. And it compares empty space to darkness, like a vacuum. And here's the striking part. It says this empty space, this darkness, it tempts you to explore, but eventually sucks you in the dark black hole.
Wow, that's intense. A black hole metaphor for the allure and danger of the unknown.
Exactly. And it links this directly to our questioning of existence. The argument is we often look for answers out there, in that vast, tempting, maybe dangerous outer world.
While neglecting the universe within.
Precisely. We're searching outside for things that might actually be found by looking inward. That darkness isn't just space, is it? It's also the unknown parts of ourselves, our fears, the difficult questions.
That black hole image really sticks with you. It captures that pull towards the unknown, whether it's scientific discovery or facing personal demons, but also the risk of getting consumed.
It does. Yet, despite that risk, the source insists that exploration is an essential tool to keep the light of curiosity burning inside.
So we need to explore, even if it's risky.
It seems so. Whether we're exploring light waves or particles, or maybe our own consciousness, this exploration leads us to study different dimensions of truth. And ultimately, the goal is finding the core meaning of life.
Exploring the dark to find the light, in a way.
You could say that. It's not just about physical exploration, is it? It's about having the courage to confront the uncomfortable, the uncertain, within ourselves and in the world.
Like diving into our psychological shadows. Or maybe tackling societal blind spots.
Yes, exactly. Engaging with those dark areas, maybe personal insecurities, societal problems, difficult histories. That's how we get a fuller picture of truth and maybe our purpose. Real growth often happens just outside that comfort zone.
It really makes you reflect. How much of your own life, listener, is spent exploring externally versus internally? What darkness are you drawn to explore right now? A challenge, a question.
And are you giving enough time to that universe within? The source seems adamant that we need a conscious balance between the two. It's not just helpful, it's essential.
Finding that balance, it's key. You can't just explore outwards or just inwards. You need both.
Right. External exploration gives us scientific knowledge, expands our understanding of the physical world, but internal exploration turns that knowledge into wisdom. It integrates it. That's where the holistic understanding comes from.
Okay. So from discovering meaning, the source then shifts focus. It looks at how we, as humanity, build civilization, how we progress.
Yes, and it uses this wonderful image. It talks about piling on the knowledge and keeping the ledger of happenings, novels and journal, to keep on climbing the ladder of civilizations.
A ladder built of preserved knowledge. I like that.
It emphasizes that civilization isn't built overnight or by one generation. It's cumulative, an inheritance. And the purpose of preserving all this knowledge is really profound.
What's the purpose it highlights?
It says the goal is so that next generations be educated about the morality of being humane, rather than preaching them the darkness of egoistic traits and so-called protection stability wealth brings.
Wow. So it's not just about facts, it's about passing on wisdom, specifically humane, ethical wisdom.
Exactly. Prioritizing moral development over just accumulating stuff or seeking that illusion of security that wealth can sometimes offer.
It puts ethics right at the center of progress, which connects back to that idea of history as truth, maybe. The moral lessons learned over time.
I think so. And it traces this back even further to ancient civilizations. It says they gave us the encrypted messages so that we don't get any answers easy. They force us to broaden our perspective and understanding of the world we live in.
Encrypted messages, not just simple instructions.
Apparently not. The source calls them encrypted codes through art, scriptures, culture, sciences, maths, and symbolism. All designed for survival, yes, but also to keep alive that basic human instinct of exploration.
So they intentionally made it challenging, like puzzles we had to solve.
That's the intriguing idea, that they didn't want us to just passively receive information. They wanted us to grapple with it, to engage our minds deeply, to stay curious, to keep that exploratory muscle strong.
That's fascinating, making us work for understanding.
And then it makes this surprising jump to the modern day. It says, our fascination with emojis shows how long we have come so far. This is the age of development and peace.
Emojis. That feels like a huge leap from ancient encrypted codes.
It does, doesn't it?
I mean, on one hand, emojis are amazing for quick, universal communication. That seems like progress. But compared to deep, complex, ancient wisdom, does it also imply something's been lost? A certain, maybe, superficiality?
That's the ambiguity, isn't it? It could be a celebration. Look how easily we communicate symbolically now. Or it could be a subtle warning. Have we traded depth for speed? Convenience for critical thought?
The source calls it the age of development and peace, which sounds positive.
It does. But placing it right after the discussion of complex ancient codes definitely makes you wonder about the trade-offs. Are we truly engaging deeply, or just skimming the surface with simplified symbols? What kind of knowledge are we building now?
Are we sacrificing that forced broadening of perspective that the ancients encouraged?
It's a really provocative question for our information age, and it leads perfectly into the next point, which is about the double-edged sword of wealth and power.
Ah, yes. The source acknowledges very pragmatically that wealth is essential for survival. You can't deny that.
No, it's practical. But then comes the warning. But they must be warned about the delusion it might bring. With power comes responsibility.
The delusion of wealth, tying power directly to responsibility.
Right. It's not anti-wealth, but it's definitely anti-delusion, anti-ego. It
Wow.
warns about the mindset that accumulation can foster. And it brings up the art of sacrifice and to leave behind unnecessary greed, conserve the needs essentials.
Sacrifice and conserving essentials. It even mentions the Gurukul concept.
Yes. Which refers to that ancient Indian system where students lived simply with their teacher, focusing intensely on learning and self-discipline, not material gain. A stark contrast to our modern consumer culture.
Definitely. And this leads to a really powerful statement. Concentration of knowledge is the ultimate power.
Which sounds right, doesn't it? Knowledge is power.
But then the immediate follow-up. But with knowledge, ego follows.
Ah, there it is.
And we get so delusioned to the addiction of power, we forget our true nature in structuring control over others with the help of sciences and technology to keep ourselves on top of the pyramid of the food chain.
That's a heavy warning. The addiction of power, fueled by knowledge, making us forget our humanity, using science and tech for control.
It's unflinching, and it even uses a specific example noting the USA has been the epitome of land of opportunities.
Now, this isn't presented as a political statement, but more like a case study, a place where concentrated knowledge, innovation, and wealth have been prominent.
And the potential downside. The source seems to imply that this concentration can lead to that power addiction, potentially overshadowing the very morality that knowledge should serve.
It highlights how easily we can lose our way, right? How the drive for dominance can eclipse our true nature.
So it really asks you, the listener, to reflect on your own relationship with success, with knowledge. How do you pursue them without falling into those ego traps, those delusions of power?
It requires constant vigilance, doesn't it? A continuous self-check. Why am I pursuing this knowledge? Is it for genuine progress, for the collective good, or is it subtly becoming about control, about being on top?
Humility in the face of achievement, remembering that true power isn't control over others.
But mastery of oneself, and maybe service to others.
That's a perfect transition from the pitfalls of power to the importance of self-mastery and understanding others. The source is very direct here. They are their own masters of their destiny, no matter what the situations or behaviors.
Total personal responsibility, no excuses.
And it uses that great analogy. Like driving, you must find your own way. Don't blame it on the people or situations.
I love that. It puts you firmly in the driver's seat of your own life, and it stresses resilience. You might fall, but then you must think of the destination you want to reach and keep moving, dusting of the reminders of bad times there itself.
Don't dwell on the falls. Dust yourself off. Remember your goal and keep going. Leave the bad memories behind.
Exactly. It's not about avoiding failure, but about how you respond. And crucially, it notes, the ability to adapt and conquer thoughts and emotions differs from person to person, and understanding that is the ultimate power.
That's a core of self-mastery, isn't it? Not controlling the world, but mastering your inner response, your thoughts, emotions. Understanding that this ability varies is also key.
It is. It shifts the focus from external control, which is often impossible, to internal agency. That's where our real power lies, cultivating that inner strength, that adaptability.
So, listener, how can you apply this? When challenges come up, how can you consciously take that driver's seat in your own mind, adapting your thoughts and emotions?
It's ongoing work, that internal cultivation, but it's the foundation for navigating anything life throws at you with, well, grace and purpose.
And mastering yourself seems to naturally lead to understanding others better. The source talks about empathy.
Yes, profoundly so. It says, to effectively change people, well, maybe better put, inspire change, you must see the world through their lens and boots.
Step right into their experience, not just sympathy, but real empathy.
It's fundamental. It's not about imposing your views, but about genuinely trying to grasp their reality. And the source suggests this approach has a remarkable effect.
What effect?
It slowly helps others understand morals from the inside out, and it allows them, eventually, to get rid of the masks they have been wearing so far to fool the world.
Shedding the masks. That's powerful imagery.
Isn't it? And the realization that follows is key. It's them who are fooling themselves of the pursuit of so-called happiness. But it was there the whole time, and the chase ends. Of all the overthinking and comes the stillness of calm.
Wow. So empathy helps others drop the pretense, stop the frantic chase for external happiness, and find this inner stillness, this calm, because they realize happiness was within them all along.
That's the idea. The masks come off when the need for external validation or protection fades. And that happens when someone feels truly seen, truly understood through empathy. The stillness of calm is what happens when you stop chasing and simply arrive in your authentic self.
It's transformative. So does cultivating your empathy, really trying to see through another's lens, lead to your own peace and happiness as well as theirs?
Well, when you stop trying to force your perspective and genuinely seek to understand, you release so much conflict, internal and external. That fosters peace. And witnessing someone else shed their masks and find their calm, that brings a deep sense of shared well-being, doesn't it? It's a shared liberation.
It really connects everything. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. The source talks a lot about energy, good and bad energies.
Yes, it presents a very dynamic view. It says, good energies make up for new beginnings, and the reservoir of these can never be filled up to the brim. They are unlimited.
Unlimited good energy. That's optimistic.
Extremely. And it adds, an eternal truth finds its way to surface, no matter how many lies have been poured upon it to make it look like garbage. Truth and good energy are inherently resilient, unstoppable.
I like that. But what about bad energy?
The approach there is more proactive, more assertive. It says, bad energies must be destroyed on source. Pinned, Havan.
Okay, wait. Pinned and Havan.
Right, so pinned basically means the root, the origin point. You have to deal with negativity at its source. And Havan is a reference to a traditional Hindu fire ritual, symbolizing purification, burning away negativity.
So actively purify your environment, neglect those bad thoughts, leave them behind so they don't become baggages of the past.
Exactly. And deliberate cleansing. Don't just ignore negativity. Actively disengage from it at its root.
But then comes a really tricky instruction. We must see things as they are and not be the judge of the implications it might have, even though our mind is filled with its prejudices.
That's the challenge, isn't it? Observe without judgment, even though our minds are full of biases.
And it connects this to learning life's lessons.
Yeah.
If you won't jump, how would you know if it was worth it?
It's a call to courage, to step into life, take risks, engage fully, even without knowing the outcome. Don't let prejudice or fear of implications paralyze you. That's how you learn. Jump.
See things clearly, act bravely, learn from the experience, overcome that internal judge.
Precisely. Non-judgmental observation plus courageous action. That seems to be the formula for growth here.
Okay. From individual energy, the source then zooms out to interconnectedness. And it uses this really intriguing phrase, 10111, 1011. It's all binary now.
Yeah, that catches your eye, doesn't it?
And we are all connected than ever before. And we must thrive to keep it that way so that no connection is lost. Binary code as a metaphor for universal connection.
It seems so. Bridging ancient philosophy with our digital age. The fundamental code of our technology mirroring a fundamental connection in existence itself. Spiritually, energetically, digitally, it's all connected.
And because we're so connected, especially now in a world that often inclines more towards destruction, the call is urgent.
Yes, find new innovative ideas for creation, for the good in the world. Leverage that connection positively. Innovate for healing, for betterment, not for division or harm.
Use our interconnectedness constructively.
Exactly. And it illustrates this beautifully with a plant analogy.
Ah, the green plant.
That's the one. Green absorbs energy particles from sun rays and reflects light, producing not only self-sufficient energy, but transmitting excess to the needy.
Weed. Self-sufficient, but also generous. Sharing its excess energy even with the weeds, the overlooked parts of the ecosystem.
It's a perfect model. Sustainable self-sufficiency, coupled with inherent generosity. And then the poignant question, don't they grow alone? Why can't we grow together to make the world a better place for true me and true you?
Why can't we be like that? Growing together, sharing our abundance, making things better for everyone. It challenges that individualistic, hoarding mindset.
Deeply, it promotes a symbiotic, collective flourishing. True growth isn't solitary, it's shared.
So listener, how can you foster good energy in your life, your community? How can you actively release the bad, purify at the source, and how can you strengthen connections, sharing your excess energy like that plant?
It requires conscious effort, doesn't it? Choosing upliftment, choosing creation, disengaging from the destructive, recognizing our individual well-being is tied to the collective, living that interconnectedness daily.
From energy and connection, we then get this grounding reminder about our place in nature and this idea of an eternal loop. It starts bluntly. We might be smarter and able than the dinosaurs, but we must not forget that nature is the ultimate equalizer.
Oof. Yeah, that puts us in our place, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All our smarts, all our tech, nature still has the final say. It demands humility.
And an urgent call follows. We must connect back with the nature and its patterns for betterment of our future.
Not just admire nature, but reconnect with its rhythms, its patterns, and learn sustainable living. It specifically mentions Adivasi's indigenous communities as they hold the true ancient knowledge and art of survival passed on through generations.
Learning from those who've lived in harmony with nature for millennia, that wisdom is crucial now.
Absolutely. Because, as the source points out, we've become disconnected. All animals live on as instincts, so do we. But in this social bubble, we have forgotten who we truly are, your true nature.
That social bubble again, where we forget our instincts, our connection to the earth.
It seems so. We get caught up in artificial constructs, trends, greed. The source says in this bubble, we are solely manifesting our greed, trends, rather than a common goal that is enlightening through creation.
So we're chasing trends driven by greed, instead of pursuing a shared goal of enlightenment through creative acts.
That's the critique. A call to step outside that bubble and reconnect with our true, creative, nature-connected selves.
The sense of disconnect leads into a really interesting concept. Kalyug, evaporation of knowledge preserved in physical puzzles.
Kalyug. In Hindu thought, that's the current age, often seen as one of spiritual decline, where knowledge can fade or become obscured.
Like knowledge preserved in idea, inventions, discoveries, philosophy, art, religion is evaporating, becoming harder to grasp, like puzzles losing their keys.
Something like that. But here's the twist. This evaporation, this apparent loss, leads to a deeper realization.
Which is?
The realization of the eternal loop of time and the fact that life finds a way to come into existence one way or the other.
So even if knowledge seems to fade in one cycle, life itself, truth itself, persists. It loops back around. Existence finds a way.
Exactly. It suggests a cosmic resilience. Cycles of decline are followed by cycles of renewal. It's not a final end.
And this connects back to the ancient civilizations leaving puzzles to solve.
Yes. They left these challenges so we could have eureka moments along the journey to keep us engaged, searching, and the ultimate goal of this search,
What does the source say?
to get us hooked to the ultimate reality, the absolute, the fundamental source and ground of all existence, Brahman.
Brahman, the ultimate reality in Hinduism, the source of everything.
Right, and it connects Brahman to Atma. The individual soul, or self-stating Atma, transcends duality and connects us with the eternal, infinite singularity.
So the individual soul connects the universal source, transcending separateness, reaching a state of oneness, like a singularity.
Yeah, that's the profound idea. Our personal journey of discovery is ultimately a path back to recognizing that fundamental unity.
And this hidden knowledge about Brahman, about existence, has been passed down through different masks.
Yes, spirituality wore different masks of religion to give us the hidden knowledge about the age-old question of our existence. It wasn't just morals or stories.
It was those encrypted codes through art, scriptures, culture, sciences, maths, and symbolism again.
Exactly. And the source suggests these codes were practical, designed for survival through major cataclysms. It mentions Armageddon or Great Floods or the Younger Dryas, Pralaya.
Okay, Younger Dryas, that was a real climate shift, right? And Pralaya is like a cosmic flood or dissolution.
Correct. So this ancient wisdom wasn't just philosophical. It was encoded survival knowledge, meant to help humanity endure and rebuild after massive disruptions, keeping that exploratory, adaptive spirit alive.
Our ancestors as cosmic survival strategists, encoding wisdom in everything.
It paints a pretty amazing picture, doesn't it?
It really does, and the source sums up this whole cyclical journey with that short poetic bit.
Ah, yes, the lines. Through despair and hope, through faith and love, till we find our place on the path unwinding, in the circle of life.
It perfectly captures that ebb and flow, the constant searching within the cycle. So, listener, thinking about this eternal loop, how does it change your view of purpose? Is life linear progress, or are we part of a grand repeating cycle of learning and rediscovering?
It definitely challenges that simple linear view, doesn't it? Maybe progress isn't just moving forward, but also spiraling deeper within these recurring patterns and lessons. Purpose becomes about engaging with the loop, evolving within it.
A different kind of patience, maybe. Okay, bringing all this deep thought right into now. The Source makes a powerful shift to the present moment and the need for collective action.
Yes, it says, present is the eternal reality we live in, where we're riding and dancing to the frequencies of end of the world. Natrasha.
Nataraja, the dancing Shiva, symbolizing creation and destruction happening simultaneously. So live fully in the present, even if it feels chaotic, like the world is ending and being reborn all at once.
Embrace the dynamic dance of reality. And crucially, maintain your sense of humor. It says, sense of humor must be engrossed so that no matter how bad the situations be, they are skipped and the atrocities be addressed through sarcasm.
Use humor, even sarcasm, to cope. To critique atrocities without being consumed by despair, that's surprisingly practical advice.
It is humor as a tool for resilience, for emotional agility, a way to process the heavy stuff with some detachment and wit.
I love that. And to find balance amidst this intense dance.
The Source recommends the state of being zero, no one. Meditation is essential. Stillness, detachment, returning to that core awareness.
Grounding yourself in inner stillness to navigate the outer chaos. Finding that 0 point gives you clarity.
Absolutely vital, especially when the world inclines more towards destruction. It's from that calm center that we can find those new innovative ideas for creation for the good.
And we're reminded of history's lessons. Significant flashpoints, world wars. Worth remembering because the fate of this world is in our hands only.
As God resides in all of us. That's a huge statement of responsibility, isn't it? Agency lies with us. The divine spark is within.
We have the power and the responsibility to shape the future, which leads to that global philosophy.
Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The world is one family.
A call for collaboration, knowledge sharing, resource allocation to tackle global challenges, health, climate.
Promoting peaceful dialogue, reducing conflict, fostering harmony. It's a vision of true global unity.
Moving beyond narrow self-interest to embrace the whole family. And then there's that intriguing line about the devil.
Ah, yes. The devil gives us the wisdom of future, as we say. It's right there in the details.
That sounds ominous, but maybe it's metaphorical. Like,
Yeah.
pay attention to the warning signs, the destructive patterns hidden in the details.
I think that's exactly it. It's about discernment, recognizing potential pitfalls, the subtle signs of trouble, so we can use that foresight, that devil's wisdom, to illuminate the path forward.
Seeing the patterns allows us to illuminate the world with this knowledge. Use foresight for good.
Precisely. Turn potential destruction into informed creation by paying attention to the details.
And all of this culminates in that final urgent mantra. Learn, adapt, act, now.
It ties everything together, doesn't it? Keep learning, stay flexible, and most importantly, take action. Don't wait. The time is now.
So the final question for you, the listener, how can you contribute to this global harmony? How can you embody learn, adapt, act now in your own life, starting today?
It's about conscious engagement, isn't it? Taking these insights from history, nature, inner exploration, and applying them. Choosing creation, connection, harmony in our daily actions. It's an immediate invitation to transformation.
So quite a journey we've taken today through cosmic consciousness, truth, energy, and connection. We've touched on truth and history, inner versus outer exploration, the challenges of knowledge and power.
Self-mastery, empathy, the flow of energies, our connection to nature, the eternal loop, and that urgent call to act in the present for global well-being.
There's a lot to digest.
It is. And maybe a final thought to leave you with, building on that idea of connection. The Source says it's all binary now, and we are all connected than ever before. So perhaps the question is, what specific actions, however small, can each of us take, starting right now, to ensure these connections we forge truly become reservoirs of good